Let me ask you this. Have you ever been betrayed and told to just let it go? Have you ever forgiven someone who wasn't sorry, only to be hurt again? Have you kept silent to avoid conflict, only to lose yourself in the process? If any of that sounds familiar, then this video is for you. Today, we're not talking about revenge. We're talking about accountability, boundaries, and the power of consequences, because some people need to face what they've done, not out of hate, but out of self-respect. If you're ready to rise above the chaos and build the strongest version of yourself, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. This channel is about reclaiming your power, living by principle, and never settling for less. Let's get into it. 1. They're not sorry. They're just caught. You've seen it before, the moment when someone's polished facade crumbles and in its place stands a person scrambling to offer a hasty apology. Their words may sound remorseful, but their body language tells a different story. Shifting eyes, forced tears, vague language. They're not heartbroken over the pain they've caused. They're shaken because they've been caught. There's a world of difference between regret and accountability. One is rooted in shame, the other in transformation. When someone is truly sorry, you see a change in their behavior. They acknowledge the harm they caused, not just the fact that they were discovered. They don't just say, "I'm sorry." They ask, "How can I make this right?" They don't minimize their actions or blame others. They take full ownership. But when a person is simply caught, not truly remorseful, their apology is a performance. A desperate attempt to salvage their reputation, maintain access to you, or avoid consequences. This kind of apology often includes phrases like, "I'm sorry you feel that way. That wasn't my intention. Let's just move on." These aren't words of healing. They are verbal camouflage, designed to pacify you without requiring real growth from them. Stoicism calls us to view human behavior with clarity. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus advised that we don't be swept away by appearances. And that applies just as much to apologies. An apology is not automatically virtuous. Its worth lies in what follows. When you let someone off the hook after a fake apology, it may feel like compassion, but in reality, it's enabling. You're not just forgiving them, you're giving them a blueprint for future manipulation. You're saying, "You can hurt me, perform remorse, and still keep access to my life." That's not kindness. That's a slow erosion of your self-respect. Being forgiving doesn't mean being naive. You can have a forgiving heart and still enforce strong boundaries. You can wish someone well and still walk away. The key is to judge not just the words, but the sincerity behind them and the actions that follow. Protect your peace. Don't reward damage control disguised as atonement. Let your life be governed by wisdom, not sentimentality. True remorse comes with humility, change, and a willingness to accept consequences. Anything less isn't an apology, it's a strategy. 2. Disrespect is not accidental, it's rehearsed. When someone disrespects you once, it could be a slip-up, a moment of ignorance, a poorly timed joke, or a thoughtless comment. But when it happens again and again, it's no longer a mistake. It's a script, a pattern, a choice. People show you who they are through repetition. Words can lie, but behavior doesn't. And yet so many of us are conditioned to give the benefit of the doubt, long past the point of reason. We cling to hope, give endless chances, and excuse harmful patterns with phrases like, "Maybe they're going through something," or "they didn't mean it." But here's the truth. Disrespect is not some random glitch in behavior. It's usually a habit, often rehearsed, carefully calibrated to see how much they can get away with and how far they can push you before you push back. Stoicism urges us to see life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone does wrong, it is because they believe it to be right." In other words, if someone repeatedly disrespects you, it's because they see nothing wrong with doing so, or worse, they benefit from doing so. Whether it's control, power, or simply the satisfaction of dominance, there's a payoff on their end. Your pain serves their comfort. You owe it to yourself to observe people with honest eyes. If someone constantly interrupts you, undermines you, talks over you, dismisses your concerns, or jokes at your expense, it's not just personality. It's a statement. One that says, your comfort is less important than my convenience. Your feelings are disposable. By continuing to excuse that kind of treatment, you send a clear message. This behavior is acceptable. But boundaries, once enforced, change the dynamic. When you stop laughing at their insults, stop answering their late-night calls, stop justifying their cruelty, you shift the balance. You reclaim your dignity. This doesn't require confrontation. It requires clarity. Not every battle needs a war. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence, space, and the quiet refusal to be disrespected again. Remember, drawing the line isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. Let the Stoic mindset guide you. Facts over feelings, reality over illusion. If someone disrespects you repeatedly, it's not an accident. It's who they've chosen to be. Now it's your turn to choose who you will be in response. 3. Your boundaries are your value in action. Every time you let someone cross your boundaries without consequences, you communicate something powerful but damaging. You're telling them that your time, energy, peace, and dignity are negotiable. You're saying, you can treat me however you like, and I'll stay. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about showing people how to treat you. They are not walls, but fences with gates. Gates that you control, and every time you reinforce your boundaries, you affirm your own worth. You say, I matter, my peace matters, my values are not for sale. It's common to feel guilt when setting boundaries, especially if you've been conditioned to people please. You may worry about being seen as selfish or cold. But ask yourself this, what is more selfish, guarding your energy or letting someone exploit it repeatedly? What is more cold, protecting your peace or tolerating ongoing disrespect just to keep someone comfortable? Stoicism teaches that we should live according to reason, not emotion. Emotions are important signals, but they're not always reliable guides. Feeling guilty doesn't mean you've done something wrong. Sometimes it just means you've done something unfamiliar, especially when you've spent your life sacrificing your well-being to make others comfortable. A boundary is a declaration, this is where I end and you begin. It is the outer layer of your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Without boundaries, you're exposed, vulnerable to manipulation, burnout, and identity erosion. It's not selfish to say no. It's not cruel to walk away. It's wise. It's self-respecting, and it's necessary. Look at the most balanced and peaceful people in your life. They have boundaries. They don't explain them endlessly or argue about them. They state them clearly, and they stand by them. That's strength. So don't feel guilty for enforcing your limits. Feel empowered. Don't explain your standards to those who benefit from you having none. Protect your time. Guard your energy. Honor your worth. Your boundaries are not about keeping people out. They're about keeping your peace in. That's not something to feel guilty about. That's something to be proud of. 4. Compassion without accountability is enabling. Compassion is one of the most revered qualities in human relationships. It's what allows us to connect, forgive, and support others through hardship. But compassion without boundaries, without accountability, can easily transform into something far less noble. Enabling. At first glance, enabling can look like love. It can sound like kindness. When someone we care about is struggling, it's natural to want to ease their burden. Maybe they made a mistake, acted impulsively, or hurt someone, including you. You might find yourself making excuses for them. They didn't mean it. They're going through a hard time. They'll change, and maybe they will. But in the meantime, what's happening? By shielding someone from the consequences of their actions, we're not protecting them, we're protecting the problem. Every time we cover for someone, lie on their behalf, or soften the truth to avoid hurting their feelings, we inadvertently reinforce their behavior. We give them no reason to grow, no reason to look in the mirror, no reason to take responsibility, and eventually they won't. Enabling keeps the cycle going. It keeps the person weak, dependent, and often stuck in denial. Meanwhile, you, perhaps, the one trying to help, become resentful, drained, and even complicit. This isn't compassion anymore. It's dysfunction wrapped in good intentions. Real compassion means caring enough to hold someone to a standard, even when it's hard. It means letting them feel the discomfort of their actions, because discomfort can be a powerful teacher. It means saying, "I love you enough to let you fall, so you learn how to stand." That doesn't mean abandoning people. It means loving them through their consequences, not around them. For example, imagine someone close to you repeatedly lies or takes advantage of your generosity. You forgive them once, twice, a dozen times. You want to believe in their potential, but nothing changes. In fact, it gets worse. Why? Because there have been no consequences. Your forgiveness has come too cheap, too easily. Without accountability, they have no real incentive to stop the behavior. Why would they? You may tell yourself that you're being supportive, that you're showing grace, but in reality, you're delaying the moment they must confront their own behavior. You're participating in their avoidance. And at some point, that's not kindness, it's sabotage. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is set a firm boundary. It may sound like, "I will no longer tolerate being lied to," or "I love you but I cannot keep bailing you out," or simply, "No more." These are not declarations of anger, they're declarations of truth. They make space for real accountability, and only from that space can transformation happen. Compassion doesn't mean being a doormat. It doesn't mean absorbing the damage someone causes just to keep the peace. If someone's actions are repeatedly harmful, then protecting them from the fallout isn't love, it's fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of being seen as cruel, fear of what will happen if we let go. But the truth is, loving someone doesn't mean taking responsibility for their choices. That's their job. Our job is to be honest about what we can accept and what we can't. And when we blur those lines, both people lose. So the next time you find yourself cushioning someone from the impact of their behavior, ask, am I really helping them? Or am I just trying to avoid the discomfort of what needs to be said? There is strength in compassion, but there is wisdom in boundaries. When the two walk together, true healing can begin. 5. Reclaiming your power starts with saying enough. There comes a moment in life, often quiet, almost invisible, when something inside you shifts. Maybe it happens in the middle of another fight, or during the silence that follows betrayal, or after years of waiting for someone to finally see your worth. That moment is when you say, enough. Not out of rage, not out of vengeance, but out of clarity. Enough is a boundary drawn in the sand of your soul. It's not loud or violent. It's not about proving a point. It's about reclaiming your peace, your time, your dignity. Too often, we tolerate what drains us. We tolerate being taken for granted, explained away, ignored, lied to, or manipulated. We make excuses for others while quietly diminishing ourselves. We wait, hoping for change, for recognition, for the apology that never comes. But eventually, you learn that waiting is a trap, that the life you want is on the other side of choice, not hope. Reclaiming your power doesn't begin with revenge or confrontation. It begins with the decision to stop participating in your own mistreatment. You stop chasing, you stop over-explaining, you stop making yourself small to make others comfortable. You stop justifying your boundaries as if they require permission, and, most importantly, you stop confusing consequences with cruelty. Consequences are not cruel, they're clarifying. They don't mean you're punishing someone. They mean you're choosing you. You're choosing to stop rewarding behavior that hurts. You're choosing to walk away from relationships that only function when you sacrifice your well-being. It's not personal vengeance, it's self-respect. When you say enough, you reclaim your time from people who waste it. You reclaim your energy from situations that drain it. And you reclaim your voice from those who silenced it. It's not easy. You might feel guilt. You might fear being seen as harsh or unforgiving. You might even miss the people or dynamics you're leaving behind. That's normal. But freedom often comes dressed in discomfort. You may even discover that the people who benefited from your silence will be the loudest when you finally speak. That's okay. Let them be loud. Let them call you difficult or selfish or cold. Those who truly care about you will respect your decision. Those who don't were only ever invested in your compliance, not your peace. Saying enough is the beginning of a new chapter. One where you no longer beg for what should be given. Freely, love, respect, honesty, and reciprocity. It's a chapter where you stand tall, even if your voice shakes. Where your presence is no longer dependent on someone else's approval. You begin to see clearly. The people who matter show up. The noise fades, the weight lifts, and the peace, the real, lasting peace, finds its way back to you. Not because you fought harder, but because you finally stopped fighting for the wrong things. Freedom isn't something others give you. It's something you claim, and it starts the moment you say, enough. No more excuses, no more mercy. Just truth. Holding someone accountable doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It makes you strong. It makes you free. So if you're done being the emotional landfill for other people's choices, welcome. This is the place where you rebuild your standards and reclaim your voice. If this message hit home, subscribe, like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, Stoicism isn't passive, it's powerful. Stand tall, hold the line, show no mercy.